It's on. Oh, check, check, check. 1 2 1 2. Mic check, check, check.
Testing 1 2. Testing 1 2 3. Testing 1 2. You guys know where Jim Lemons is now?
I'm gonna take my mask off over there. Testing. Do you want me to test it? Is that good? Okay. Talk. Hello. Hello. 1 2 testing. 3 4. And I'm trying it again. And yeah. Try it again. Trying it again. I guess it's not a big deal if I'm in the house while they're eating. I mean, while they're getting food.
Where's the feed that's going in here? Oh, that's why it wasn't working. Is that the sub? No, we just had the sub. Here.
Hello? 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 Yes. Testing 1, 2, 3. Yes, he needs me to still keep talking, so I will. Ladies and gentlemen, this evening be a fun-filled food, lots of things to eat, lots of gifts to buy. Bid before it's too late. That is very loud. And I guess I'm going to keep talking. Going to keep talking about this and that, and hopefully people will find their seats and people will begin to bid on the auctions. And there's coffee, I believe. There's tea. I've got water, lemonade. The food smells really good. So I'm getting hungry just smelling it. You can hear me? I'm going to have you guys get me a plate while I'm over here.
We can test it. Thank you. Hey, Jamie. Hello. We're trying to figure out the microphones right now. Testing. Testing 1 2, testing 1 2, testing, 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 testing. Testing 1 2, testing, testing, testing. It makes no sense. You got sub and mix.
No, both good sub and mix.
Testing 1 2, testing, testing, testing. Testing 1 2. Is it going in? Testing, testing, testing. Testing 1 2, testing, testing, testing. Testing 1 2, testing, testing.
Somewhere on this board. Is this the place that
Gail's the CCA.
the boxes are down?
You got it going through the sub. You know, we could just turn this off when she's not wanting to be in the room, right?
No, because right now, if you pull the subs out, she's still in the room.
Yeah, but if you turn the mix
If you turn it off, if you turn the mix off, then it goes away to me.
Oh.
Try that.
Testing. Testing.
Yeah, you're gonna need we're gonna have to get you on headphone. That's gonna be the next challenge out of this thing. I don't know how to get you on headphone. you're gonna want to listen to. You're gonna want to monitor the mix.
Can we just turn it off?
This is microphones. That's just us present. That's just present. These are pretty. You're just gonna have to listen to the house.
Yeah.
Just wait.
I thought I did until we hooked it up different than how I
'cause we were made to fly. We can do anything. We'll shine like the sun, the moon, and stars. We can go anywhere. They'll see us no matter where we are. 'Cause we got the fire. Whoa. We got the fire. It's time to open up your head. Don't leave it up to chance. We can do anything. We'll shine like the sun, the moon, the stars. We can go anywhere. They'll see us no matter where we are. 'Cause we got the fire. We got the fire. Show the world the impossible is possible. 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 We can do anything. We'll shine like the sun, the moon, the stars. We can go anywhere. They'll see us no matter where we are. 'Cause we got the fire. We got the fire. There's a moment when you realize all the things they said were lies. It's time to open up your eyes. 'Cause we were made to fly. We can do anything. We'll shine like the sun, the moon, the stars. We can go anywhere. They'll see us no matter where we are. 'Cause we got the fire. We got the fire. Show the world the impossible is possible.
The program will be starting in 5 minutes. That's your 5-minute warning. The program will be starting in 5 minutes.
You don't gotta follow all the plans. It's time to open up your head. Don't leave it up to chance. We can do anything. We'll shine like the sun, the moon, the stars. We can go anywhere. They'll see us no matter where we are. Show the world the impossible is possible. Show the world the impossible is possible. We can do anything. We'll shine like the sun, the moon, the stars. We can go anywhere. They'll see us no matter where we are. 'Cause we got the power. We got the
Can I have your attention, please? If we could please try to find our seats at our tables. We're going to be starting in just a couple of minutes. Thank you.
There's a moment when you realize
We're going to be starting in 1 minute. So if you could please find your seats. Kind of like herding cats. Can we please find our seats? We'll be starting in 30 seconds. Good evening, everybody. Come on, we can do better than that. Good evening, everybody. Awesome. Thank you all for being here. We're so excited, but before we start, first I'd like to give a round of applause for everybody that set up this beautiful room and all of the auction items. Isn't it beautiful here this evening? So I'd like to welcome all of those who are here tonight in person and those also joining us from their homes live streaming. Thanks so much for being here this evening. My name is Ron Snow, and I'm a member of the Board of Directors and the chair-elect of the Board of Moja Partnership. I'll be serving as your MC this evening. Tonight, we're here to celebrate our work and those who make our work possible, the donors, the volunteers, supporters, and staff, both here and in Kenya. And a special welcome to those of you who are just learning about Umoja for the first time. Thank you for being here. The board, staff, and volunteers here tonight are excited to introduce you to our students and our mission. We are a partnership of many faiths from different cultures on 2 continents, united in our service to change lives by keeping children in school. We serve the children in the Chilembo region of Western Kenya. We are celebrating tonight at Second Presbyterian Church, one of our founding congregations. Our focus this evening is our food security program, which funds our nutrition program for over 4,000 students in primary school. There is an urgent reality today of children that don't have consistent access to proper nutrition. A key piece of this project is distributing food to orphaned and vulnerable students in primary schools. In our project area, 20% of the children have lost one or both parents to HIV, AIDS, or other causes, and they need consistent nutrition in order to stay focused in school. The event tonight in our annual Food for Thought program that ended on World Food Day together support our food security program. To this point, between the online campaign and the funds collected for sponsorship and ticket sales, we've already raised enough money to support 14 schools. Great, yeah, let's hear a round of applause. But we have a way to go to raise enough to support 6 more to fully fund all 20 primary schools. Throughout the evening, you'll hear more about the amazing community of teachers and guardians in Chilembo, our students in our organization, including our staff who are woven into the fabric of the schools we serve, changing lives of the communities involved in the Umoja project. As a unified partnership of people here and in Kenya, our staff, board members, volunteers, and of course, all of you here this evening, together can make a difference in the lives of those children we serve. So just how much money do we want to raise this evening? I like to be kind of in your face. Our goal for this event is to raise $45,000. We're about halfway there through funds already collected and ticket sales. So tonight we're hoping to raise around $22,500. So how can you help us reach our goal? Well, for those of you that are attending at home virtually, you can hit the donate button on the event page to contribute financially. And for all of you here in this room, there's information on your tables, but you can text the word GIVE to 317-449-7224, and there's a little frame on your table that has that information. Or if you want to be a little more tech savvy, you can actually scan the QR code provided at your tables and give that way. And then as you can see on your tables, there's some jars. You're welcome to place money in the jars at your table. And if you would like a receipt, there are envelopes with those jars, and that way you will then get a receipt from Umoja. We'll take credit cards too. I'm sure we'll figure out a way to do that. So, and then everybody can participate in the silent auction, even those at home. Instructions on how to register were sent to you in emails that were provided before the event. If you're having trouble or you're not that tech savvy or having difficulty, see one of the board members. We'll be happy to get you online to do that. And if you're here in person, please make sure that you go around the room and look at these. These are amazing items that we have for auction, and thanks to everybody that donated those. We really appreciate it, and I hope that you all show your support by going ahead and bidding for it. Do that. So with that done, we have a great evening, so let's get started. I now have the privilege of introducing Reverend David Berry, who will provide our opening prayer for the evening. David is the associate pastor for mission here at Second Presbyterian Church, which is my home congregation. David was a founding member of the Umoja Project and actually helped write the initial grant submitted to start. Oh, am I okay? Okay. He also served as chair of the board of directors for 10 years. And if not for David, there's a chance Umoja may not even be here. So, David, come on up.
My greatest honor is to welcome you this evening to Second Presbyterian Church in a time of thanksgiving and of celebration. And I celebrate that this year Leonard is with us. We have surely missed you, Leonard. It's great to have you here. You know, one of the hallmarks of this wonderful partnership over the years is the mutual affirmation that we stay. We stay together. Isn't that the very definition of partnership? Faithfulness, we stay. And unity of heart, we stay together. As we prepare our hearts for prayer, I'd like you to turn to your neighbor and say to one another, we stay together. Let us pray. Holy One, beyond all names, deeper than all thought, we are grateful for the privilege to gather together in this place of partnership and unity. We are gathered around the common struggles for hope overcoming despair, generosity overpowering scarcity, and love disturbing our apathy. Gather us as people who see beyond our differences to discover the common bonds of compassion for all, especially orphaned and vulnerable children, the forgotten, the poor. Teach us that your holy mystery encompasses many paths and holds us in a tender embrace. Weave us together through our shared commitment and mutual service. We thank you, Holy One, that as we work together, our common work brings us to a deeper place of community. Open our hearts to the mystery of your compassion that works healing in us and persists in working in us and through us to make this world a place of beauty, mercy, and justice. Holy One, beyond all names, we praise you for having bound humanity in a great unity of life, so that each must lean on the strength of all and depend for comfort and safety on the help and labor of our brothers and sisters encircling the globe. It is in gratitude that we offer our thanks for the meal that we are partaking of. We are grateful for those who grew and harvested, prepare and serve this food. We pray that as we are fed, we would renew our commitment that no Umoja child, indeed no child, will go hungry. In thanksgiving, celebration, and generosity, we lift our prayers. Amen.
Thank you, David, and thank you for your years of service with Umoja. We wouldn't be where we were without you. Thank you. Next up, I have the privilege of introducing Tamara Carpenter, who's our multi-talented new director of marketing and communications, who's going to sing for us. She's going to be singing Amazing Grace. She's going to be singing the first and third verses in English and the second verse in Swahili. So we're in for a real treat. If you don't know Swahili, that's okay. And Tamara didn't know it before she started learning it. So come on up, Tamara.
Guess I should take off my mask now. Amazing grace, how How sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I am found. Was blind, but now I see. Bali Nemaya Yezu Yani Tosha Sana Ilifu Ambua Macho Ikani Fumua. As we've been there 10,000 years, bright shining as the sun, we've no less grace to see God's face than when we first begun. We've no less grace to sing God's praise than when we first begun. Thank you.
Wow. If I'd have known she was that good, I would have brought my accordion and accompanied her. You didn't want to hear that. So next we're going to get a chance to eat. So while we're eating, the people at home that are online are going to have a short program that Tamara is going to be doing there in the corner. And so we're going to get a chance then. And here's how we're going to do the eating. If you have a speaker who's at your table, we're going to ask those tables to go first. And I think those would be the ones over here because we will probably not be done eating when we start the program back up. So we're going to ask those to go first. And then when we get done with that, we're going to start from the far end of the room. Sorry, you people over there. You should have known better, but that's okay. We're going to start here and work our way over. And we're not going to have anyone releasing the tables. Just kind of when you see the line getting down, feel free to go on over and get in line. So with that, are you guys ready at the food? Are we all good? Okay, so Jim Lemons, I think your tables can go first since you're done. We will be coming back about 5:50 to begin the next part of our program.
Marketing and Communications Director for Umoja Partnership. I've been with in school, perform up to their abilities. And what we've seen is that they go on to high school and go on to college and really become amazing citizens who are giving back to their communities as well as to Umoja Partnership. It's truly full circle. So what I want to do now is have you guys watch a short video where some of our alum talk about their experience with the Umoja Partnership.
When I was 10, in class 4, when my father passed on, and now since my mother could not raise the family, she decided to take me to my aunt.
And in our family, we were 5 kids.
I lived with my uncle when my dad passed away.
We didn't have a nice house where somebody can sleep. Our house was too small and it was also leaky.
So my mom just distributed us, because we were 5 in total in our house. So she distributed us in all our uncles.
I joined Nyakongo Primary School, which was sponsored by Umoja Project. So I was one of the beneficiaries there.
So when we were in school, me and my brother, we were recruited in Umoja Foundation. By the time we were in Umoja, at least we were now able to get lunch.
I was taken to Nyakongo Primary. The head teacher introduced me to Umoja in 2008. So I started to eat my lunch, which was sweet.
In that year, the Umoja came in, they built for us house. They give us even blankets to sleep. And we were also given some clothes.
Umoja Project provided our lunch meal, blankets, and then uniforms for the primary schools when I was studying there.
Now, Umoja has given me a lot. When I was in primary, Umoja offered me a blanket. Umoja offered me a school uniform. Umoja gave me lunch program. Then when I was in secondary school, Umoja gave me all the fees from Form 1 to Form 4.
And Umoja supported me in Form 1, Form 2, Form 3 up to Form 4 up to right now.
I'm glad because now I can stand in front of somebody privileged because I'm a grown up and I'm a learned person.
Then Umoja Project is the one who has been paying my school fees in college. Right now, I'm in my second year, taking diploma in quantity survey.
Umoja is like a parent because Umoja has held my hand from primary to secondary. Now I'm going to college under the courtesy of Umoja because Umoja has done a lot for me. So what I can say about Umoja is a parent.
You know, sometimes if you suffer a lot in the community, people overlook your family. But right now, I'm not seeing, people are not overlooking us because at least we are now somebody. At least sometimes if they call a meeting on the table, they can also call our family. They can call me to go and give them ideas. Umoja Project is a mother and a father to me. Thank you very much.
Asante sana Baba, Mwokozi wangu, kwani mimi sitaona haya kusema wewe wangu na mimi wako, maisha yangu yote Baba, nisaidie Baba, masomo yangu yote Baba, nisaidie Baba.
We are so proud of Dominique, Peter, and Sharon, some of our alumni who have continued to be involved with the Umoja Partnership, whether it's mentoring students or being a project assistant. They've come back, like I said, full circle, and their stories are so inspiring and impressive. One of the things that I've really loved getting to know about Umoja as I've been working with this organization is that it was founded on principles of coming alongside and partnering with organizations and people in Kenya in order to determine what kind of services are needed. Listening is a principle that we were founded upon. And so as we built our programming there, we have our program director, Leonard Otiendo, who you'll hear from later this evening, who is on the ground in Kenya with our 4 other staff members, part of the community there, talking with the children, the guardians, the school teachers, the school leaders, and really finding out what is needed. So I talked a little bit before about our food security program and the daily school lunch that's being provided. And that is a huge deal. It's a major barrier that we've helped a lot of those students overcome. Many times those students take that meal, that's a meal that they share with their families. It's a meal that they share with their guardians or their sibling. So it really does so much. But there are other things that we've found out over the years that those students need. And so we provide things like, as you heard in the video, and Sharon talking about the blankets and the school uniforms. Dominic mentioned that there was some assistance given to help build a house. So those are all things that we do, working with the community there in Kenya to provide for those students that we serve and to make sure that our services are responsive and not just something that we're giving. They're responsive, and because of that, they're effective. You can see that, like I said, because of the students that have gone on to secondary school and college. One of the other things that I wanted to share with you is the empowerment programs that we've actually developed in partnership with the Kenyan team that we have there on the ground. We have a girls empowerment program and a boys empowerment program. We call it Get Up and Bet Up, and we work with primary students as well as secondary students. We put together workshops, intensive times together where we teach these students life skills. They're taught about gender roles, cultural roles, student leadership, youth leadership, as well as becoming leaders in their community. So it's really something that has been able to round out and create this web of services, wraparound services that really help our students to go beyond just being good academically, but like I said, being good citizens. So our next video, you'll hear a little bit more about Bet Up and Get Up from some of our students.
Umoja Project has a program for the girls called Get Up, which mentors girls at a younger age to grow and be upright ladies who can reason well, who can make good decisions.
You're being taught on how you can care about yourself on your own, because you won't be like, we are not staying here. There is nobody who will follow you looking at you wherever you go. So you have to take care of yourself on your own.
This really helps us in the outside world to associate with people, to understand ourselves each and every day, so that we can move on, so that we don't be confined in one place.
It's good. It made me to know a lot of places. Though I'm a Kenyan, but I never traveled to so many places like Masai Mara. I've even seen an elephant, which I had never seen in my life. You feel so much excited. That is a good thing, and I'm really happy for that.
So we came up with the Boy Child Empowerment Program. This program is meant to empower boy on self-esteem, on communication, on family.
We want to make our boys to grow spiritually, emotionally, mentally, and physically fit, so that they be the leaders of tomorrow. And we are training them to start being leaders today.
So far we've seen changes. We have seen changes. We can see a boy child able to express himself. We are seeing a boy child who knows how to take care of himself.
To anyone watching, I would like to appreciate every person that comes up to give it to Umoja Project so that they support the kids in Kenya.
Thank you, and thank Umoja, thank Indiana, thank our supporters from Indiana.
All the churches everywhere who have come together for the support of the needy children in Africa and in Kenya specifically, and in Chulaimbu, to be specific.
Otherwise, thank you very much, and may you continue. You are in our prayers. Please pray for us. Thank you very much, and may God bless you.
Wow, that again, as I said, is so inspiring. I have to come up with new words because I'm saying inspiring and amazing and encouraging so much since I've been working with Umoja. Truthfully, a few years ago, I did a vision board, and I was looking back at that. On that vision board was a picture of kids in Kenya. My dream was to be working with an organization that served children in Kenya. And now I get to do that. And I get to do that with a wonderful group of people, both here in the US as well as in Kenya. Another thing about Umoja Partnership that I love is that we are really a group of people from various backgrounds, faith-based communities, socioeconomic status, and we've all come together with this passionate desire to serve orphaned and vulnerable children in Kenya. And we're able to do that with the help of supporters like you. As I said, this evening is this Thanksgiving dinner. We put this together as a primary fundraiser, a way that we can support our food security program for our children there in Chulaimbo, Kenya. One of the things that blew my mind is that $25 covers the cost of feeding a child school lunch for an entire year. That's amazing. When I think about that, I can spend $25 on Starbucks in a couple of days, really. But that provides maize and beans, a nutritious meal for these students that sometimes, as I said before, they're taking home and sharing with their guardians, they're sharing with their siblings. Ron Snow earlier this evening talked about the fact that we've already raised enough money to support 14 of our primary schools, but we've got 20 school partners. So we need to continue to do that. And one of the ways that you can do that is to look at our online auction and start bidding. That's open now, and it will be open through 7:30 this evening. The other way is to text donate or text give, sorry. And then you can go on our website and donate that way as well. So we are, again, so excited to have you with us. One of the things that I wanted to do before we wrap up and we get back to the main program is to ask you guys a couple of questions and give you a chance to answer. We're going to be giving out prizes. We're actually going to be sending prizes, so you can drop your information in the chat box along with your answer. We'll take a look at that after the program. And like I said, the people who are in our online audience that answer correctly, we will be sending out some surprise gifts just to say thank you for being a part and for listening in this evening. So my first question is, one of the young ladies there in the video talked about going on safari and going to the Masai Mara. And she talked about seeing an elephant for the first time. Well, there in Kenya, there's a thing called the Big Five that people who go on safaris, they want to see. They want to make sure that they see these 5 wildlife animals. So if you can, put in the chat box the answer. What are the Big 5 that people want to see when they go on safari in Kenya? That's my first question. My second question, and I've said this a couple of times already, is how many students do we currently serve school lunch for each day? How many students do we serve school lunch to each day there in Kenya? Like I said, after the program, we'll be checking the information that you drop in the chat box. If you answered it correctly, we'll be sending a surprise gift to you. Please put your address as well in the chat box, and we'll get that to you as soon as possible. One of the things that we're going to be doing this evening is going to be so exciting. We're going to have Leonard Otiendo all the way from Kenya. Yes, he flew in from Kenya, a very long flight, by the way. He's going to be joining us this evening and sharing what is going on the ground there in Chulaimbo, Kenya. He is truly committed. He's been with the organization for a number of years now, and many of the orphan and vulnerable children there, they look at him as a father. They look at Umoja Project as a father and a mother, because we come alongside them, we show them that someone cares, someone loves them, someone is looking out for them and encouraging them to do their very best, and we believe in them. And so Leonard will be sharing about the program, what we're doing, how we're being effective there, and the challenges that we're facing, as well as some goals that we have in moving forward. And after Leonard, we're going to be blessed to hear from Dr. James Lemons, Dr. James Lemons, who is currently our board president, and he is a neonatologist with IU. He was instrumental in founding and building the hospital there in Kenya through AMPATH, and he now serves with us, and he is going to be talking this evening about his experience with Umoja Partnership and his love of serving and giving back to the community. So we'll look forward to hearing from him in a few moments as well. We also talked about the online auction. You'll be able to continue to bid on those items all through the talk from Leonard as well as Jim, and we're just excited to have you with us. I've got one more video for you guys to watch. It's from one of our board members, Shauna Hubbard, and she's going to tell you a little bit more about our initiative, to our strategy to push forward and do more and bless even more children and impact even more children through Umoja Partnership. So listen in, and then when we return, it'll be time for us to go to the main program. Thank you.
Glad to be here today to share with you more information about our 2021 and beyond strategic acceleration plan for the Umoja Partnership. I want to touch on who we are and the Umoja Partnership team, and a little bit about how we got where we are today. Most importantly, I want to share with you how we are looking to accelerate our strategic plan in the upcoming year so we can do more, bigger, faster within the Umoja Project. We work in the Chilembo area of Western Kenya, and while it may look a little bit different geographically speaking and socioeconomically speaking, we've got a lot in common with our brothers and sisters there. Key is that our partners in Kenya have the same desire that we do to see a better world for their kids with more opportunities in the future. Our friends in Kenya have been challenged in 2020, just like we have, not only with economic slowdown, but also an extended period of time where our kids have not been in school. Our staff has been very engaged with our students and the communities during this time, but the extra challenges as we come out of the COVID-19 pandemic is why we wanted to spend some time today talking with you about our strategic plan acceleration. Our goal as the Umoja Partnership is to transform communities one child at a time. And we have a great team of folks that comes together on 2 different continents to support these kids. Our goal is to remove barriers for students to help them stay in school and excel in school. As we think about moving forward in 2021 and what we will do to accelerate our strategic plan, it's really about leaning in to who we are as the Umoja Partnership. It means that we're going to do more within our 4 strategic areas: school services, food security, infrastructure, and support services and empowerment programs. As we do that, I think it's important to know that there's a large network of folks in both Indiana and Kenya who really strive to support 4,000 students who are part of the Umoja Partnership. On both sides, we have partner congregations, we have a network of donors, we have a board of directors, and a community that's really involved to provide cohesive support. We have an executive director on the U.S. side and 4 paid staff in Kenya. And if you've ever had a chance to encounter our staff, you know that they know every one of our 4,000 students by name. Our partner congregations and donor networks on both sides have provided faithful and generous support for the Umoja Partnership. Our organization started providing school lunches in 10 primary schools, and today we've built upon that to grow to a food security program in 20 primary schools. We've added empowerment programs. You might have heard of our Get Up and Bed Up programs, which really focus on mentoring students and helping them with career preparedness, health and personal hygiene, as well as interpersonal relationships. We've also expanded in the area of support services, everything from tuition assistance to blankets to sanitary supplies for our girls to solar lamps. Sometimes we take things for granted here. You don't know the power of having light at night for students to be able to study. So Even something that seems small to us, like a solar lamp, makes a big difference in the lives of these students as we strive to keep them in school and doing their very best in school. You can see we have a pretty large list of congregational partners on the Kenyan side, and these folks really come around our students and support them in their spiritual growth journey. Our job as a network of volunteers and donors and partner congregations on the U.S. side is to do our part to remove opportunity and material barriers for our students, and that's where we focus on our areas of programming. With such a large network of supporters, we focus on 3 program areas to help our kids stay in school and excel in school. Our strategic plan will enable us to continue to build in these areas: food security, empowerment, and school services. We're in the middle of a 5-year plan right now, and the great news is we're within reaching distance of several of the goals and metrics that we set in our 5-year plan. But that doesn't mean that we stop here. You can see how we've built in each program area to support these students in a smart and sustainable way. When a student enters the Umoja project, we make a commitment to them to see them through their time in school. And it's with generous support from our donor network and our partner congregations that has been made possible for 4,000 students. As we talk about our areas of programming, know that where we've expanded so far and our ideas for expansion in the near future come directly from our Kenyan partners. Our staff, teachers, guardians, and volunteers over in Kenya are the ones that drive forward the priorities of how we can help our students. That close connection is what makes Umoja different and makes Umoja successful and sustainable for our students. Our goal is to make a lasting, sustainable impact on the community where we're operating in Kenya. We can do more according to our strategic plan and building on our strategic plan in a number of different areas. Whether you've been around our project for many years providing faithful support, or you're hearing about it for the first time today, question for you: which of our program areas connects best with what you are most interested in? We've got opportunities in each one of our programming areas where we are looking to do more within our strategic plan. Maybe you are most interested in food security. This is the heart of our project where we first started out in 10 primary schools, and it's still a huge focus for us today. We've expanded into 20 primary schools, but we want to expand into more. In fact, we receive dozens of applications and letters each year asking for more primary schools to become part of the Umoja family. We have opportunities to sponsor a single school or to sponsor a package of programs for a school if you're interested in partnering with us in that area. Another critical area of food security is emergency assistance. This has been a critical area for our team in 2020 as we provided assistance not only to our students, but also to their households through emergency distributions. We're looking for a partner to help restock and shore up our emergency assistance funds. Maybe you're most passionate about our empowerment programs. If you've been around the Umoja project for long, I know you know about Get Up and Bet Up, our girls and boys empowerment program. In these programs, we focus on mentoring, career readiness, and interpersonal skill development, as well as health and personal hygiene. And we've seen fantastic results with students being more confident, more empowered, with more productive personal relationships, and doing better in the classroom. We're looking for partners to make sure that Get Up and Bet Up are funded as we go into the future. One other area that we want to invest is more staff and guardian training. Our guardians are such an important part of the network of support for our students. Guardians are often extended family members, many times grandparents, or other community members who take our students in. Remember, many of our Umoja students have lost one or both parents to AIDS or other causes. We find the more that we invest in our guardians, as well as our staff in Kenya, the better results that we get for our kids. you may be most interested in our school services programming. We are passionate about education and believe that it's key to changing the lives of the students in our program as well as their whole communities. We are looking for partners to help us expand the availability of secondary school or high school scholarships for our students. We want to make sure that every one of our students who is eligible for secondary school is enabled to pursue that. As well, we want to put more focus on post-secondary education, university or other education opportunities to help our students make the transition from secondary school into the workforce. In addition to tuition assistance, other support services are critical to help our students excel in school. Umoja provides items like blankets, sanitary supplies for our girls, school supplies, school uniforms, and even solar lamps to remove some of those barriers of basic necessities that might hold our kids back from staying focused on their schoolwork. We're looking for partners to help make sure that we're fully stocked and fully funded with those basic necessity items. Lastly, you may have a heart for the infrastructure of the Umoja partnership. This is so critical for us as we continue to expand our services, both the number of students that we serve as well as the depth of programming that we bring to them. We are looking for partners to help us expand our access to physical space in Kenya. We've outgrown our space right now, and we just need more room to conduct counseling sessions as well as to hold meetings. We're looking for a partner to help enable us to do that. We also are very mindful of our staff. Again, if you've met our staff, you know the heart that they have for our students in Kenya and the care that they take to make sure that we do everything we can to make those students successful. As we expand our base of students, the number of schools that we operate in, and the amount of programming that we bring, it's critical that we enable staff on both the Kenyan side and the U.S. side to keep everything running smoothly, and very importantly, to have that personal touch for every one of our students. So as you hear about how we want to accelerate our strategic plan in 2021 and beyond, which areas connect with you? Is it food security? Empowerment programs, school services, infrastructure? There are so many opportunities that we have to make a difference in the lives of our kids. As you see our students and think about global impact, as you think about living generously, as you think about walking humbly with our neighbors and living lives of faith as Jesus taught us, how might you partner with the Umoja Project to help our students? We can do more, bigger, faster, in a smart, sustainable way with your generous support. So for every passion that you might have, for every budget amount that you might be able to contribute, for every way that you can help make a difference, there's an opportunity for you. We thank you so much for your faithful support and your continued excitement about the Umoja partnership. With your help, we can do exactly what Umoja is designed to do: transform communities one child at a time.
It's time to open up your hands. Don't leave it up to chance. We can do anything. We'll shine like the sun, the moon, the stars. We can go anywhere. They'll see us no matter where we are. 'Cause we got the fire. We got the fire. Show the world the impossible is possible. 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 We can do anything. We'll shine like the sun, the moon, the stars. We can go anywhere. They'll see us no matter where we are. 'Cause we got the fire. We got the fire.
Yeah, they said it'd be right up to the mic. And then what was the other thing? I think that's probably about it. Lots of people seem to be bidding, so a couple items.
Yeah, we have a few items that still don't
Yeah, Steve knows his might not go. I talked to him a little bit more. He said it's probably a little high priced than what most is, but he said if it doesn't go, he said no, that's okay. He's fine. He asked about what's the eBay. He said eBay, some monies will go to like charitable organizations. So he asked if we were on there.
Amazon.
We're on Amazon. Okay. But he said eBay does it too.
Yeah,
And he
not
said-
we're on Amazon and I think we got everybody through the food service. So I think we'll try and get back going. I hate to interrupt the conversation. Can't hear me? You guys hearing? Oh, there we go. I don't even have to do my sexy voice. It actually really does work. Okay, I think now we'll get started. Everybody's been through the food service line. A couple of just housekeeping thing. Somebody lost some pills. So if you missed a bottle, if you lost yours, then do I maybe have it over here? It's going to be right here at this table. No. I just didn't want him to come up here. And also, is Jan Dykstra here tonight? Jan Dykstra. No. Glenn? She's not here. Good evening, everyone. Thank you all for joining us tonight. If you don't know who I am, my name is Denise Soltis, and I'm the executive director. And first off, I just want to say thank you so much to all the people who made this night possible. It's just really hard to even start. So I won't do too much, but I do have to say, man, Tamara, wow, that was awesome. I hired her for marketing communications, but I didn't know it was going to save me a little dollars on my. So also, lots of people, like I said, Dave Strite did those videos that we played to our audience, and just amazing work for everyone. You know, just recently, on Thursday night, I took Leonard to watch a program put forward by Family Promise. And they told us that there's all this money sitting in the government that hasn't been given out yet. And I thought, you know what they really need to do? They need to give it to some of our women in our churches, because they would get that money out like that. So I want to say thanks to all the women who donated items, few guys too, definitely artists and craftsmen who did events for us. But it was really this group of ladies that really did a lot of work gathering items for our auction. We still have a few items that don't have any bids on them. And I know most of you are on your phones. I see right here, this table in general. Go, 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 go. It all goes to a good cause. So let's get the program restarted. And my role tonight is just, I have the pleasure of introducing our two guest speakers. In Kenya, on October 20th, they have a holiday that's called Heroes Day. Mashuja is maybe how you pronounce it in Swahili. And I can guarantee you that both of our speakers tonight would be celebrated in Kenya as a hero. Our first speaker is Leonard Otieno Otiende, and he's our Kenyan project director. Leonard has been with the project really since it began. He started out as a link teacher, and if you don't know what a link teacher is, it's really a volunteer. It's the volunteer at every primary school that really identifies the children that need help. And so Leonard was a volunteer with us at the beginning. And he was so good at what he did that he became an employee and started working half-time for us, even while he was working full-time as a teacher. And then 2017 happened. And I hope Dave Barry doesn't have PTSD right now, because it was a rough year. We lost Ellen Daniels Howe, who was the founding executive director, and we also lost our Kenyan director. And it was Leonard, along with Linda Olasia, who really kept Umoja going during that time. They were looking for a director, hadn't hired me yet, and we were just keeping it together on a shoestring. And so Leonard really did an amazing job during that time, as did Linda. Hired me, and the first thing we decided was we needed to hire somebody in Kenya to run this project. But we needed one person to be the leader, and it couldn't be a team like they'd been doing in the past. And Leonard stepped up, and he said, I'll do it. Linda said, it should totally be Leonard, not me. And he gave up his position as a teacher, which is a government job in Kenya, which are sacred items. He also gave up his retirement to do this work. And so if you doubt he's committed, I can see Jim back there just shaking his head. He's been to Kenya several times, and he knows everybody. He knows every student. You can tell him all these things. I visited so-and-so's house today, and he'd say, yeah, and do you want to know? There's even more to that story, and he'll share a lot of the things. So I am just honored to work in partnership with Leonard every day, even though we're not on the same continent most of the time. I do see him as a real leader and a real partner in this. During the pandemic, Leonard's passion and his leadership really shone bright. During the pandemic, it's still going on, but in the midst of all the really terrible things, everything changed. Our kids had to stay home, and every single service that we provided had to be altered or stopped or something. And it was really Leonard who made all the changes necessary to keep these kids fed and really work on garnering resources from the community. Thanks to all of you, we were able to really provide some emergency support to these kids. So I just want to have Leonard come up, and he's going to present. And I just want to say thank you, Leonard, for all you do. And enjoy, guys.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Denise. Good evening, everyone. My name is Leonard Otiende, Director Umoja Partnership Kenya. At Umoja, I want to say that our goal is to keep orphans and vulnerable in schools by eliminating obstacles which make it hard for them to be in school. And as a project, we do this in a number of ways, which I will highlight as I make my presentation. So I want to say that, once a great icon in Africa, the late Nelson Mandela, said that education is the most powerful weapon that you can use to change the world. And so we strongly believe that through education, we are going to give our children a better future so that tomorrow they can be able to stand on their own. I want to say that Umoja does this in so many ways. We have a list of services that we provide for our orphans and vulnerable children, and these include food security, basic needs. We have empowerment programs, psychosocial support, and also we have guardian empowerment. I'll be talking about each of these a little bit further. Okay. I'll be talking about these a little bit further as we move along, just to give you a picture of what is exactly happening back there in Kenya. So I'll start by food security. And I want to say that my machine is messy a bit. Maybe you'll help me. I want to say that in food security, what we do is we provide our children with a lunch program which supports 4,029 children from 20 primary schools. And this is very helpful to them because a number of these children prior were going to school without taking something in the evening for dinner. The following lunch, they have nothing to eat. And again, sometimes when they get to school, they are not sure that they are going to eat anything even when they go back home. So that has been very, very helpful. At the same time, we also have another group who are most at needs. They are called child-headed household. And in this program, we are also feeding a total of 145 of these children. So this category of children, we give them food to go use at home, because this is a case where you find a child who is in teenage, maybe 10 years old, 11 years old, is left a total orphan without both of the parents. Or sometimes they have caregivers who are either very elderly or terminally ill, and so therefore they cannot work. So really that means a lot to our children. Again, alongside that, the feeding program, according to our teachers, and Denise talked about me having been a teacher, it's one of the factors which used to keep our children away from school for very long, because how do you get to school when you're not sure you are going to have what to feed on? So many of them were feeling like, oh, why don't I even go do child labor or something like that just to keep me safe and healthy in school? So other than that, Denise has talked about us also offering assistance to our families, what we call emergency food assistance during COVID period. I want to thank you people so much, because during that time, through our collaborative effort, we were able to feed at any given go 2,000 guardians, and this translated to feeding more than 6,000 beneficiaries directly. And again, not only that, this food distribution during COVID, we did it from April through to the month of December. And that translated, we did 5 sessions for what I call whole family food supplies. And again, other than that, we also did 7 sessions for child-headed households. So that meant a lot to really our children. It renewed their hope, and really it saved them during that very tough time. I also want to say that apart from food security, we provide basic needs. And in basic needs, the first item is school uniform. In Kenya, for you to be in school, you have to put on school uniform, and those are the shades you're seeing with our kids on the slides. Other than school uniform, we also provide blankets. Again, to many of these children, you realize a family of maybe one widowed mother having 5 or 6 children, having only one blanket, sometimes which is not even in good condition. In fact, it's very, very hard. Sometimes it's so hard for the mother to decide, can I cover myself, or I let these children cover themselves? And sometimes I've said now it forces the children to resort to what we call survival for the fittest, where the strong ones will cover themselves and the weak ones have to wait until the strong ones are asleep, then they grab that one piece of blanket. So what we are doing is very important. Equally, in basic needs, we are also providing shelter. Some of our children are living in very pathetic houses. You can see the pictures on the slides. Those are some of the houses. And last year was not a good year, because early part of the year we had flash floods. And this deteriorated a lot the shelter conditions of our children. But I want to thank you people again once more so much, because up to now, this year alone, we've been able to do 7 shelters. Though in the budget you're supposed to do 5, but through local support and partnership, I was able to translate that into 7 shelters. And the pictures you see there are a completed shelter. Once we've done a home build, that is how a finished product look like. So that's community members, because they are so happy with what is happening. Equally, next thing that we support is tuition fee. And in Kenya, for you to be in high school and post-high school, you pay tuition fee. I want to tell you guys here that, you know, despite the challenges that COVID brought last year, despite that kids were out of school between March to December, they got back to school January this year. And with our efforts through those, like providing food empowerment program, luckily enough, can you imagine that the candidates of last year, those who did the end of primary school education exam, emerged the best ever lot we've ever had since we started the program. And because of this, thank you. And because of this, we were also able to transition most of them to high school. In fact, as we talk, we have 219 children who are directly supported through high school education. And other than that, we also have another 100 whom we put on what we call high school stipend subsidy, which is a startup to enable them start. And I'm very happy to say here that out of that, we were able to transition all our candidates who did end of primary examination into high school. Equally, thank you. Equally, I want to say that since 2017, as Umoja Fraternity, we've experienced tremendous growth in our activities. Before and up to the start of 2017, we were only having 100 children in high school. Currently, as of 2021, we have a total of 319 children we are supporting, which is like more than threefold the number we used to do previously. And I want to thank you guys so much for believing in us. Also, I want to, just to put things into perspective, I want to give a brief story of how our program is changing life. And, okay, good. Sorry, there was a mix-up on the slides. Before that, the next program that we are doing is empowerment program. And in the empowerment program, we have girl-child empowerment, it's jumping, and boy-child empowerment. And for girls empowerment program, before we started our program, it happens that our community for a long time sidelined the girl child. So there was a lot of preferential treatment for the boy child and not the girl child. And because of that, a number of girls who are not completing primary schools, there are very many cases of teenage pregnancy. As a matter of fact, among the schools where we work with, every year we used to get at least 5 girls getting pregnant. And that means they are dropping out of school because you get teenage pregnant and then you are not empowered enough to know you can go back to school. So the result is they go into what is called early marriage. And that, just continues that poverty cycle. So, but when we started the girl child program, girls empowerment program, this is where we bring them together with the mentors. And these mentors are taking them through issues affecting the girl child on education, on health, on life skills, on positive relationship. And I want to report to you that that has yielded a lot of good fruits. I want to tell you that as of now, cases of teenage pregnancy is almost nil. That's a big thing to us. Apart from that, in that good grade that I talked about of last year, the girls outperformed the boys. So they are the ones who did very well. So that was really, really a positive impact. But I want to say that, when we were doing that, then it brought another challenge. The other challenge was that now the boy child started feeling left out. And sometimes, for complete development, you cannot leave one side, one gender and bring the other one. So because of that, we were able now to realize from the teachers back at school, the community members, and a team of Duke interns that there were a lot of challenges facing the boy child. One, they were now getting involved into unwanted behavior like drug and substance use, drop out of school. In our country, there's something called border, which is motorcycle riding. So a number of them were now opting out of school to go to motorcycle riding. I have a very touching case where one young boy once came to me when we were giving girls sanitary towels, which is one of the services we provide for them. And then he came to me, "Daddy, can I also get one?" And the first question I asked, so do you want to take it to your sister? No, I want to use it. What this young boy meant was that he was lacking undergarments, and quite a number of them used to lack that. So when we started the boy child empowerment, that was the year 2018, that was among the package that we brought forth to the boys. And apart from that, they were also taken through the topics that empower them. That is health, education, life skills, good relationships, and so on and so forth. I want to say these two programs are very important to us because one, can you imagine our alumni, that is the Umoja children who we've educated through high school and post-high school, are part of the team who have come back to mentor their brothers and sisters. And you know what this tells? If Jack made it, why can't I make it? So there is that direct correlation. Again, Also, other women from the community and men are actively involved in these empowerment programs. So I want to say again, uniquely, we are among very few organizations in Kenya which have started a program to empower the boy child. So the empowerment is a big thing to us. Other than that, I want to cite a case of a school called Uradi Primary School, which is a new school we brought on board. Now, this school, we brought it on board in the year 2019. It's a school by the shores of Lake Victoria, and there, many children are lost in the lake fishing because of poverty, helping the fishermen there. So they need to go to school, though it's something that they need, but now they see getting how to survive as the most urgent thing. So when we went to Uradi, we provided all our services to the school in the year 2019. And I want to tell you that through our services, the school has experienced tremendous positive change. The enrollment of children in the school has risen. I'll show the table there. The performance of the children has significantly improved. The children are now very healthy at the school. Their esteem is very high. Cases of absenteeism, that is not attending school, has really gone down. And to go by figures, in the year 2018, before we started our program at Uradi, the best child in end of primary examination scored 242 marks. That is out of 500 marks, which is not even an average. Then in 2019, when we got to school, we were just settling down, but the best scored 246. But I want to tell you that last year, the best child scored 334 marks. She's called Molin Akinyi, the one whose picture you're seeing there. And Molin, we've also been able to support her to go to Mawego Girls High School. That's a big thing to us. And apart from that, also when you look at the enrollment, before we started, the school had 386 children only. Then the year we started, the number shot at once to 470. Thereafter, 492. This year, before I left for the States, I confirmed the numbers were 521. And these are children who are not, it's not like they are from other schools, they were out of school. So Moja is a big pulling factor to enroll and retain children in schools. So what a great story. Then I want to also share a success story over a period of time by giving a story of one of our boys called Samuel Omondi Otieno. Samuel is a total orphan. Samuel lost his dad when he was 6 years old. And then, within 2 months, the mother also passed on. So he remained without any parents. He was told the father died of cancer and the mother died of TB. And Samuel is from a family of 3 children. The eldest brother, who was 11 by then, was then the only person who was left to be like the caregiver for these families. So life became so tough that at some point, a maternal grandmother took away Samuel to her home. And even there, because of poverty, Samuel did not go to school for 1 year. So later on, he had to bring Samuel back to his home. And when he was brought back home, one of the uncles took him. This uncle was working at one of the sugarcane plantations. And unfortunately, 2 years later, he also developed cancer. And so his work got terminated. Eventually, he succumbed. So Samuel was left with the wife to this uncle who was just, a stay-home mother. So most of the times, Samuel will miss school going with this aunt to dig for people, to do other odd jobs. Because really, how can you stick in school if you don't have what to eat or if you don't have the basic necessity? So when Umoja came, Samuel was among the very first children who got into the program. And I want to gladly tell you that when we came and we started giving the services, this motivated Samuel a lot. As a matter of fact, in the year 2007, Samuel did end of primary school examination, scored 327 marks. And again, Umoja was able to take him to a nearby school called Chulaimbo Boys. At the school again, he also did well. He scored a mean grade of B+, which again is 2 grades just next to the best grade you can ever get in Kenya, which is A plain. And so with that, Samuel joined Maseno University, where he pursued a Bachelor's of Business Administration in Finance. And he graduated in the year 2016. And currently, Samuel works with a hotel as an accountant called Cold Springs Hotel in Nairobi. So really, Samuel is very grateful to Umoja, and he says it is because of Umoja who has made him who he is. What a great transformation. What a great change. I want also to say that this good work is as a result of a combined effort. That is the biggest from you, the folks here, and I'm really indebted when I stand before you here. But also with a host of community that have been able to bring together back in Kenya. And this host of community, they also participate in various activities, like the guardians who are the caregivers. They provide, cooks at school, wood for cooking those foods. Other than that, they are sponsoring. Imagine those who are earning below $1, sometimes $1.50 a day, which is not even consistent, but they are sponsoring 2 children in high school. Apart from them, the alumni, the likes of Samuel, now they are giving back. They are also sponsoring 2 children. Apart from that, the head teachers, sponsoring 1 child, the board of advisors. I have 3 individuals who are also directly involved. They are supporting a child each. I also have I've started some engagement with the corporates in Kenya so that we see how far that can go. But apart from that, I also want to say that with, all those good efforts, still there is an opportunity. And here I say, even though I told you earlier on that we were able to do a total of 7 shelters this year, but you know what? Currently on my desk, I have 30 cases of shelters which are in very, very bad shape. So really sometimes that gives me a lot of sleepless nights. Apart from that, now I've just talked about the rise in the number of those who are in high school. And that directly also affects their transition into post-secondary learning institutions. And currently, we are supporting, we are supporting, and I didn't give this piece, we are supporting all those who graduated and got direct university admissions. We were able to grant them scholarships to the universities. And apart from that, other students we call project assistants, we've also granted them opportunities. They come volunteer for 1 year, and then after that we take them to colleges. And in that group, we have a total of 60 whom we are supporting in post-secondary education. But I wanted to talk about post-secondary education as also another area which has an opportunity. Because if I say that, for example, we take between 8 to 10 to colleges and universities, and now we have 219. So you can imagine how challenging the difference is. Apart from that, the basic needs, the school uniforms, the blankets, the solar lamps, because of our budget line, we can only give a number. We can give at least 40 a school. And you find that in each school, there is at least 200 beneficiaries of the programs. So sometimes it's a very, hard task balancing. Which are the 40 I give? And what do I do to this 160? So that is really also another area. And the other area is also, sometimes good thing also yield a lot of good challenges. And I want to say that currently I have got more than 100 schools requesting that why don't you also recruit us as Umoja schools? And some are so persistent that sometimes they even ask me, Leonard, is there something wrong that the community of this school did to you that you don't want to bring them to be part of the Umoja? So really those also very high number of requests is also a very big challenge. One good piece that I want to talk about as I end is that when our children are fully empowered, that is when they complete primary school, high school, and colleges, they are getting enrolled into different professions. We have quite a number of our alumni students who are graduate teachers, who are accountants, who've done agriculture, who've done all sorts of, courses which make the community complete. So, truly speaking, Umoja is causing change to that community. I'm a true witness. And when I stand before you here, I'm really, really indebted. And on behalf of those hundreds of Kenyans whose lives we are touching, I want to say a big thank you. And in our words, we say, Asante sana, and that is the waving you see there. Thank you so much, and may God bless you.
One of the things I didn't say before was that he's like a brother to me, a Kenyan brother. And after you live in the same house for a couple weeks, you really do feel like a brother in many ways. So what a great leader we have there. This morning we were at North United Methodist Church, and who is one of our sponsors tonight, as is Second Pres, and as is Ron Snow. So I want to say thank you for that. But we went to church at North United Methodist Church this morning, and Pastor Darren preached about kindness, or the lack of kindness in our world today. And it really made me think of Jim Lemons. Typically, keynote speaker introductions covers their careers and accomplishments, and if I start down that path, it might exceed the time I've given Jim for his talk, which is, remember Jim, he's promised. Anyway, Jim has served as board chair for the last 3 years, which is about 80% of my time as a leader in this organization. And at the end of the year, he's stepping down. Jim is a very caring neonatologist, excellent researcher, prolific author, and a humanitarian. He raised funds for the Riley Mother-Baby Hospital in Eldoret, and he's involved in 6 maybe different organizations just working in Kenya. That's not to mention the things that he does here in Indiana. So I want to talk about Jim as a person. And one day I saw Ron, and we were talking about who the board chair was, and I often say Jim has a golden heart. And Ron shared a comment that someone shared with him, and they said, if Jesus was walking around on earth today, he would look a lot like Jim Lemons. Wow. Sounds like a lot of pressure on Jim, doesn't it? Does that mean he's perfect? Well, Pam is here tonight, and I'm sure that she can fill us in on that. But Jim is the most kind, open, welcoming, supportive person really I've ever met. When I first started on the in this organization, I went around and talked to every board member, try and find out, where did they think we were doing? What did we need to do differently? And I spent 3 hours with Jim. He's promised he won't talk for 3 hours tonight. But he made me feel like I was the most important thing he had to do that day. He's a neonatologist. He had other things to do, but that's how I felt. A bit later, I went to see him speak at Butler University, and he talked about Umoja. He told those students that all these students, all the Butler students, that all our students need is a little bit of love. I think I about got teary that night, which is why he's compared to Jesus. Pastor Darren, I think this is the type of kindness you were talking about this morning. When I asked him to become the board chair, he was reluctant. At this point, I was less than a year into my role, and I had huge shoes to fill. I wasn't anything like my predecessor, and I really did need that support. I had already seen that he was a connector. He'd introduced me to so many people that he thought would be beneficial. And I also watched him invite every one of his friends into the project to know about Umoja. Why wouldn't we want him as our leader, right? I mean, what would our government be like today if our leaders were true servants, kind, compassionate, and someone who really cares about people and sees the possibilities everywhere? Jim also introduced me to Brene Brown, and if you don't know who she is, start by Googling her TED Talk. Then you can move on from there. But Brene's all about vulnerability. And Jim has shown me what being open can achieve in this world. Jim is an amazing person and a great partner for me over the last 3 years. Jim, thanks for all your help.
Yeah, wow. I had to cover Pam's ears. No, but sorry. No, that's the nicest introduction I've ever had. One introduction I had, I was giving grand rounds, and I studied fetal amino acid metabolism. And my best friend introduced me and said, Jim is one of the 3 top world experts on fetal amino acid metabolism. And he paused, and everybody was awed by that. And then he said, unfortunately, only 3 people in the world are interested in fetal amino acid metabolism. No, I'm really grateful. Thank you. And thanks to all of you for your kindness and being here and making time. Thank you. Is that better? Yeah, so thank you for sharing and being present and aware and hopefully taking this back. When Denise asked me to give this talk, she said, well, just talk about what inspires you about Umoja. And so, let's see, start. And, I could title it, what Denise referred to, is what a little bit of caring, what a little bit of love can do. And that's the root of it all. Before I start stories in the message, I wanted to thank a few people, and I wanted to briefly show that. See if this works back here. No, maybe not. I can give, there, it worked. Or maybe, you want me to try it? So this was our journey back in 1994. We took 2 of our 3 kids. Our youngest were in high school. They had a truly amazing time teaching, actually, for at the school right up the road that had 700 children at that time from a Kenyan couple that had adopted 6 kids and built that school. And Kevin and Megan were part of that. There's my wife, and Megan, our oldest son, is missing. He was going off to school, university. Megan is there. I'm just starting high school. Well, this may not do the trick, so maybe I can flash you guys. Yeah. So the first person I want to thank is my wife, Pam. Yeah, stand up. So my wife, can stand up. We would not have started this journey if Pam had not made the decision that it was time to do something. I had spent a few months in Ethiopia in med school and wanted to engage in something else. Had a lot of great mentors at the med school there at IU. But Pam's the one who started this, and thank you, honey. Without you, there would be no journey. I show this because starting anything like this, I love this quote. It used to be on Joe Mamlin's email. And Joe and Sarah Ellen are here and really founded the Empath IU Kenya Partnership over 30 years ago. And I always read that, and I've kept that. Obviously you could say, well, if you do that, then you won't do anything. But all of the things we do could embrace and be part of the bigger, longer-term, more worthy efforts that are grounded in caring for one another. And that's how I think Joe has thought about this. I also want to recognize Ellen Daniels Howell, who was the first executive director for our program, and unfortunately passed away. Todd, her husband, is part of our board currently. But Ellen's called Mama in Kenya, and still beloved there. And she made this work possible, came out of United North Methodist Church. And then I want to second, I guess, the thanks to Dave and Diane. So Dave Barry, Denise Ron indicated that Dave was one of the people that grounded this program, and it's true from the very beginning. I don't think we'd have Umoja, and we almost stopped Umoja a couple of times along the way because it was hard to fundraise. It was hard to garner support, for this way over halfway across the world in Africa. But Dave stuck to it, and we're really grateful, Dave, so thank you. And then here are the staff. You've met Leonard. The two others next to him are Linda Alasia, a social worker, and then Jerry Owaka, also a social worker who was an orphan himself and now is married with 2 kids. And he helped engineer the BEDUP program. Linda helped greatly with just all the 4,029 needy kids. And I must reiterate, Leonard at the top, this is his family. He was kind enough to send me a picture. And he's got 4 beautiful kids, and his wife, Nancy, who's just an awesome lady that helps keep it all together, because Leonard is gone, I bet, 18 hours a day, because he truly does know the story, the personal story of those 4,029 kids. And that's why, sorry. Yeah, people know this. When you talk about these things, they bring back so many, I guess, emotions and vivid memories that, and all the people that are part of this are so important. And these kids are so incredibly important. And that's why we love Leonard, because he does love these kids genuinely. And we'll talk a little bit more about that. And then, finally, Denise. I probably should put Bob's picture up there with Denise. Whoops. And Denise, who joined us over 3 years ago, pharmacist on the faculty and school in Des Moines at Drake University for many years, and then got a graduate master's degree in global health from Northwestern, and happened along just at the right time, with coincidence or God incidence, to fill this role, and has just helped this program with Leonard by her side, and all of you supporting Burgeon. And then I'd be remiss, because I just wanted to give the names, and many of our board members, if you'd like to stand for a second, are here. Yeah, please, if you can stand after running a marathon, Evans. And thank you all. It's, and there's many that are zooming in. When you see something good, you are going to meet a lot of good people. When I first encountered Empath program, I met countless good people, and Joe was one of the very first who advised me that's where we should be going if our family was going to head to something overseas. And finally, Ron and his wife Linda are there with Leonard, and Ron is taking over his chair. I don't believe in long-term, positions. You can get stale, need new energy ideas, and that's why we have even one of our board members is a second-year medical student, Taylor Luster, who's here tonight, replacing one of our other great previous board members, Shay Jansen, who's now a first-year resident in obstetrics. But we need that. We need that insight. Okay, so now I'm going to begin a bit of the journey, and I'd like to start here. Because it's important to recognize this is the best definition of compassion that Carol Johnston gave to me one time. She's a theologian minister, and I think is here tonight, but I don't know for sure. She showed me this definition, and our cosmos is made from stardust. I mean, that's where we come, that's where we go. And it's important to know that what we do ripples, and what we don't do can ripple. So knowing that our thoughts, our prayers, our actions can touch people. I've had so many moments, Pam and I have so many of these grace moments where we randomly in an airport across the, in Europe connecting to Africa or something, and run into somebody that's been touched by somebody that we knew that was through Umoja. One of these kids that you are supporting, as Joe always reminded me, might become president of Kenya. And because they've grown up knowing grace and esteem and true justice and equality, hopefully that's what they will carry with them into those leadership positions. So we don't know how this will unfold, but that's what I'm going to talk about, I hope, briefly. So the first thing I'm going to share is a story. It's kind of the rest of the story. So I had the honor of being invited to give the last lecture at IUPUI in 2012. And I turned it down at first, but then somebody said, well, you should do it because do you have a grandchild? And we did. We had a grandson. Well, just pretend you're kind of passing on whatever wisdom you've acquired in your journey and you want him to hear, because it was a grandson. So in 2012, my mom came out. Those are our three kids. And particularly look at Megan, because I'm going to relate this story to her, and my mom. So it was dedicated to Nicholas, James Costa. That was our grandson. He was a year and a half old. And I called it the unanticipated consequences of love. So I told stories of how this rippling can occur in unexpected, miraculous ways. And I was blessed because my mom, who was about 92 at the time, was very bright and just salt of the earth. She just spent a day with us, and she got to meet Nicholas, just for a brief time. So that was that encounter. And then Nicholas grew a bit. He loved cars. His buddy, they would set up trash cans all down their street and go along and load the trash in the back of their car, and pedal away. Well, a year and a half later, so Nicholas is now 3, Pam and I had just flown in Saturday night from Kenya. Megan flew in from North Carolina with Nicholas and was going to spend a week, and we had the week off. So I took Nick out, and I had an old Honda Civic, and that day, one of the things we did, and I just took a picture of him because he was just so excited, and I showed him all the buttons and how to, open everything in the car. Well, that evening, I got a call from my brother in Denver that my mom had just had a spontaneous fracture of her femur, and it might be life-threatening. She needed surgery, and on the one side, you can see she has 2 artificial hips, and one of her femurs was just splayed open. She did have the surgery, and I showed you the results there, but they didn't think she'd survive. So I flew out that night. She did survive. My mom's really stubborn. And so there's my mom and recovering. And so that morning, I got an email photo from Megan. And we live on a hill with a little lake at the bottom. And she said they had looked all over for Nicholas and were panicking because he's 3 years old and they couldn't find him anywhere. And they were searching even down by the lake. Well, they found him, and here he was in the garage, and he was just finishing packing all of his toys because he wanted to go care for Grandma Jenny. So it's a reminder to me of children and the purity of their love. They don't even know what love is, and yet they give it to us. And often we change it as they grow, not in good ways often. And flying back from Denver, I was afraid I was going to miss Megan because she was flying out, and I thought I was going to land 45 minutes before at Indianapolis Airport. Well, my plane in some connecting city was delayed 45 minutes. I thought, I'm not going to be able to see and thank Nick and Megan. Well, landed at the airport, and it turned out she was flying back to North Carolina on the plane I was on coming to Indianapolis. So I got to see Nick. Again, a reminder of how can we help children? How can we learn from them about how to maintain this kind of caring for one another? It helped my mom heal for sure. And this is Nick now. He's 11, and he's got a brother, Ben, younger brother, Ben. So here's a quote. It's from the first minister of this church in 1839. This church is 182 years old, not this building. So Henry Ward Beecher, he was a passionate preacher, abolitionist, one of the most famous people in this country at the time. And this is how he best described the purity of love for our Creator, perhaps best seen in our love for children, as a parent to a child, perhaps a grandparent, sibling. And to me, that's what Umoja is about. I know this is not a Kenyan experience, but I'll share a couple of those. So, learning more about this love is, I think, important. And So here, I look at the Umoja partnership as one of those unanticipated consequences of love. That's how this has happened, I think. And that's the grounding for all of us here. So I always say lead with love. In complicated decisions, try to best understand what those decisions are about with love. But Mr. Rogers said love is maybe the hardest thing in the world to understand, because it's our interpretation of love may not be in the right context for that family who's maybe getting an abortion, maybe taking a child off life support, or a grandparent. How do we understand what, as long as love is engaged, I think it's probably the right decision, and nobody outside of that context is better able to make that decision. I think it helps us become more non-judgmental, which in our medical world, in medicine and physicians, is really important. So we're blessed, though. We have a lot of great teachers of love here, with Dave Barry, with Chris Henry, with Jay Foster, with Joe Mamlin, with Kent Millard, who's here. It's a little nerve-wracking talking in front of so many ministers, especially about love, But in the Lake Fellows, I'm really grateful the Lake Fellows were able to come. Thank you. So going on, oops, there you go. So I was just going to show one school, and just as a reminder, so we talk about orphans and vulnerable children. We talk about refugees. We talk about Muslims. We talk about gay, lesbian. We have a gay son, but our son is not a gay person. Our son is Kevin, who happens to be gay, as one part of a wonderful son. And that's true for every one of the people that we interact with. We get caught in these numbers. So there are 4,029 children, but Leonard knows each of their stories. And it's important that each of these kids is seen as equally valuable with their own personal journey. I know all of us know this, but it's really, really important when we think about these journeys. And I'll talk about a couple of, one of the sickest babies we took care of was a little premature baby. And she was in the hospital for 8 months, had a tracheostomy, multiple complex surgeries. She weighed 1 pound. So, in fact, she was one of the few situations where I advised the parents that there really is very little hope that your baby's going to survive. Well, 3 months later, I said, wow. But there's very little hope that your baby's going to be able to, roll over or sit up. Well, 3 months later, she was sitting up. But I said, but developmentally, she's going to be very impaired. Probably not going to be able to speak. Had complex 2 experimental surgeries on her trachea and larynx. Well, 6 years later, I was about to give the last lecture, and her mom texted me something that Molly had said. And the last picture I showed of Molly at the last lecture was, her dad was a country western singer, was Molly with a microphone singing on the stage of IU in the dance marathon, country western song. And she said to her mom 2 weeks before I gave last lecture, and I said, this is it. She said, no one is different. No one is different. We are all unique. So we are together, but everyone needs to be seen as the person. Well, as they said, there are 20 of these schools, and you can see the schools posted. Thank you guys who did this amazing preparation. In the hallway, as you leave, you'll see each of the 20 schools there. But just remember, these are all kids the same as my grandson, just as valuable, and my grandson is just as valuable as that little boy. Really hard to maintain that perspective, but it's important to be intentional about this. And then Leonard mentioned the boys and girls empowerment, which is awesome. Here's one of my favorite people in Kenya, Nellie Ndega. So Nellie is the poster of a teacher in my mind, one of the best teachers I've ever seen. And she empowers these girls by teaching them their anatomy, their physiology, their sexuality. And she teaches them self-empowerment and self-esteem. And she does equally well with the boys. But it's that kind of person who has that rich talent. She could lead be Secretary of Education for this country and would change the world rather than what we've experienced. I'm getting there. Oh, sorry. You could go. Yeah. So a teacher, one of my favorite quotes in Israeli is this. So the key is to reveal one's riches to themselves. To reveal to every child, that's our job on this planet, is to enable every child to know their gift. Whether it's poetry or singing or dance or wrestling or, painting or playing the trumpet. If we could have every child think of what the world would be. Children don't see color. They're colorblind. And boy, do we need that now. So here's a couple of years ago, I've worked for 20 years with the deaf community. Pam and I have been involved in many of the programs around newborn hearing screening all over the world and been really blessed to participate in that. But here's a story of a potential. Here's a 25-year-old Kenyan engineer, because he has a deaf niece, thought, I can help my niece. So he made a glove, and it senses movement and translates it through Bluetooth to his iPhone to hear her speak with sign language when she wears that glove. Isn't that awesome? But it's a Kenyan engineer. It's not a, graduate from MIT. So there are gifts everywhere. The hearts in Kenya are bigger than our hearts. I constantly see that. The talents, sometimes the gifts and the knowledge and the intellect and instinct. That's why when we go to Kenya, we look for leadership there who know how to solve the problems, like Leonard leads us. He knows how to solve the problems with his colleagues and what the problems really are. And we just try to enable that solution and look at the bigger, context. And so you're not supposed to get involved with individual kids, but we did. And we fell in love with this young lady, Joy Viveka, because she was in the Umoja Project. She was a full orphan. Her dad died when she was 2, her mom when she was almost 12. And she came back as a project assistant. Leonard hires about 10 project assistants who are graduates of the high school who come back to work for a year before going on to their next step. So Joy hosted us for 3 days, Pam and I. And we did. We fell in love with her. She's a petite little thing, but boy, the power of her presence is just awesome. And so we introduced her to the head of the Moy Teaching Referral Hospital. And she, in a 5-minute interview, he said, we want you to be a nursing student with us. So she graduated at the top of nursing school last December, works full-time, and then moved to Nairobi now to get a 2 years bachelor's, and working full-time as a nurse and going to school full-time. And then she wants to become probably a pediatric or neonatal nurse practitioner like Pam. Yeah. So she's met a lot of people. We've introduced her to a lot, but Kathy Miller, who's one of our great board members, and Denise have gotten to know her. Shay Jansen, who is now a first-year OB resident, knows her. And you can't help but sometimes fall in love and in a special way. And she's helping us see that part of the world, through her eyes and through her hard work and her passion. Will she be Secretary of State for Kenya? I don't know. It'd be nice to have a woman in that position there. And then just a couple more here, I'm getting there. And then the guardians that Leonard mentioned. So there are about 1,800 guardians. So we were there and we met one afternoon with the guardians. And the guardians all adopt essentially one or two or three of the orphans or vulnerable children and actually take care of them. This is a network of grandparents or uncle or some relative, or maybe not, who just are willing to step out and take care. It's an amazing organization and safety net that Leonard and his staff have built there for these kids. Well, so we were talking to them, and they have officers, and they meet in chapters, and they donate a quarter, 20, Kenyan shilling, each time they gather. So the president was a little old lady, Edwina, and she steps up and says, Jim, she says, we're going to raise $7,000 by the end of this year. Do you think you could find a matching donor for that back in the U.S.? I said, oh, no question about it. What do you want to do with it? She says, we want to build an endowment so that no child will go uneducated in perpetuity. This is a little old lady who's probably 75 years old and walked 18 kilometers to come to that meeting. That's the passion that they care. And these are kids, as I say, just like our kids. So one story, personal story that Denise posted about this young boy. This is Jeconiah Oji. And so Jeconiah, he entered the Emoji Project grade in the 5th grade, right? And then this year he's a senior, our equivalent senior in high school. And he was elected school president. He's 8 out of 110 in his class. So Jeconiah has a mother. He is blind in one eye. He's deaf in one ear and has a hearing aid in the other ear. And this is what he can accomplish with a little bit of care and support that any of our kids would get here for sure. But his life is on a trajectory that we don't know where it will go. But he may come back and touch us in ways that we would never anticipate. And this is what he said. I don't know if you can read that. I'll let you read it. That's about as good as you can say it. I'm a little like Jeconiah and difficult to stop talking about Umoja. But it's beautiful heart and words, and that's how it should be said. So, as we come to the close, so this saying, this old African saying, I am because we are. You know, in our religious communities, I am because we are. We're nothing alone. And that's deep-rooted in the entire African continent. It's called Ubuntu. It's humanity for others. There are many parts of that. But it's the genuine understanding that it takes a village. It's only together. But it's how we see. So, you know, we could say what a gift, it is to be able to share our resources with these children and see this amazing progress, It's amazing. That's a real gift. But to me, the biggest gift is the relationship. So So being in relationship with those who are not visible, as Leonard said and Denise said, you know, the invisible. Everybody needs to be visible and seen and cared for, but especially children. And to me, the biggest gift of the Umoja, especially over this time of white supremacy, of deep-rooted systemic racism that we're dealing with, of fear, of prejudice, you know, fear of other. This is the greatest gift, I think. We see them in poverty, but I see the riches of these children with the leadership that we have. I mean, what's richer than be able to participate and be in relation to these children and to this? It's a small, you know, in the world's context, this is a small program. But boy, is it powerful. And it can be replicated and grown. And that's what we need. It's about the children, the love for these children. And so my final is to just remind us that we are just walking each other home. Thank you very much.
I don't know what I did wrong to have to follow that, but I'm now supposed to kind of do the ask, but I don't even know if I need to. Jim, how wonderful. He is just as a personal story, Jim contacted me and asked me if I would be interested in being the chair of the board of Umoja. And, you know, the first thing that goes through your head is, how do you follow that? Right? I mean, how do you even try to walk in the footsteps of Jim Lemons? But I can tell you that I am honored and excited and mostly want to be able to carry on his legacy. He's a wonderful man, and I'm so thankful to know him. And thank you so much, Jim, and for all you've done for Umoja. And we'll continue to do. He's going to stay with us. So. I got a text just before Jim was done that there was only a few minutes left in the auction. So it's ending at 7:30. So as I continue, feel free to use your phones and keep bidding. We want to get all the money we can get. So keep on going. Just as a quick update, we did want to raise, I was told $20,000 is what we decided for this evening. We have raised $7,765 so far. And we have a couple matches of $6,000, which gives us $13,765. So we're looking for $6,235 more dollars. So hopefully you will find it in your hearts to continue to keep the auction. And then we're going to continue here now a little bit with some additional information on my part. Also, there was a wine pull outside. Many of you may have missed it when you first came in. It's $25, and you get a bottle of wine and a Kenyan cover for it. Could one of you just lift that up to show what it is? So we've got a number of them. We have, I think, 10 left. Is that correct? So it's for $25. So not only to get a beautiful little case for your wine, but you get a bottle of wine. So as you're leaving tonight, make sure you stop by there. Next, I just kind of want to give you we have I guess up there I see donate. So text give to 317-449-7224. In addition to that, there's also the QR code on your tables. You can do that. And if you're at home still with us, you have the ability to go to the event page and donate as well. And then use the jars and the envelopes. We're happy to do that as well. Some of you may know that my wife Linda and I got to go with a group to Kenya in 2019. To be honest, Linda had gone to a presentation that was done. I did not go to it to see what that trip was all about. And she came home and said, this is something I'd really like to do. I think we should look into it. My initial reaction to going was, when would I ever go to Kenya again? And I probably wouldn't do it on my own. So it would be a great way to see a part of the world that I would probably never see again. But after having visited there and while there, I was moved in ways that I just can't even imagine or can tell you or to adequately describe in words. It was a life-changing event for me. I found the people of Kenya to just be so warm, kind, loving, and humble. They were thankful for what little they did have, and they were so appreciative of what Moja was doing for them. But we can do more, and they can do more if we had the resources. And so that's why I'm up here asking for you and asking for your help so Moja can do more. I did a little research and did a little homework and tried to find out what inspired people to give so that I could give this wonderful message to you and you'd all just open up your wallets and start throwing money everywhere. And there were 3 motivators that came up. One was that people give to people, especially if they know them. The second was that people want to make sure that their dollars are making an impact. And third was that they want to thank you. So I'm up here to meet those needs for all of you. So first I want to talk a little bit about people giving to people, and especially those that they know. And I'm not sure why this is not working, but there we go. Trying here. Oh, there we go, my title slide. Okay, here we go. So I'm going to introduce you to some people that I had the pleasure of meeting in Kenya. And so first I'm going to introduce you to Jackson. When I was there, Jackson was 13 years old. You can see a picture. He's there with his mom, Doreen. And Jackson has 3 siblings. He had an older sister, Shayla, a younger brother, Tony, and then you can see his younger sister, Faith, in the picture. What we did is we did home visits. We had the opportunity to go to some homes and actually visit the students in their environment. And when we asked Jackson what he wanted to do, he said he wanted to be a pilot and that he would love to travel to America. And that was kind of a theme that we saw going through it. This is Jackson's home. As you can see, he had some very difficult living conditions. The middle picture in particular, it shows the tin roof, and you can see the light coming through the rather large holes that were in that home. Doreen, his mom, and Faith slept in a room that was their bedroom-kitchen combination. And then Jackson and his 2 other siblings actually slept in the main room. That sheet you see there was what they used when it rained so that they didn't get wet. And they also had in their home a couch, if you want to call it that, that they took turns sleeping on, and that sleeping on that couch was a luxury for them. But when it rained, they would have to actually get together in a corner and cover themselves with that plastic sheet so that they didn't get wet. When Jackson's father died, his uncles thought that Jackson's home should go to them. So they wanted to take over the home, and his uncles actually went in and ripped out all the electricity or what little electricity they had in their home. They also verbally and also physically abused Doreen, his mother. And as a matter of fact, there was concern about Shayla, and Shayla was taken out of the home just for her safety as well. It was just amazing. So what we did is when we leave, we always ask, is there anything you'd like us to pray for you and for your family? And it's amazing. Of all the things that Jackson needed, what he said is that, first of all, that he was grateful for Umoja's partnership. What we gave to Jackson was a uniform for school. We gave him a blanket to use at home. We gave him a solar lamp, which was obviously needed without any electricity so that he could study in the evening. And then he said, but what I'd really like is I would like for your prayers to have peace in our lives. This is a 13-year-old boy asking for peace. And while Jackson has a long way to go, with the support of Umoja, I'm confident that Jackson is going to reach the dreams that he has for himself. in addition to Jackson, we also had an opportunity to meet Joyce. Joyce also was 13 years old. She was in class 6. She was a paternal orphan, and then her mother also had abandoned her. And she has one brother who is 2 years younger than her. At the time he was 11, that's Maxwell. What happened was her mother essentially disowned her, and she went to, her grandmother lived in the area also and would occasionally stop by and take care of her, but she really didn't show a whole lot of love and support for her either. Joyce called Maxwell her son, again, a 13-year-old girl. When we arrived at her house, it was quite shocking to us, and it's hard to see in that first picture on the left, but that was a goat, a dead goat in front of her door. It had died days before, and she was not strong enough to move that goat. She had told us that somebody had promised to come later that day to move it. She does all the cooking. She does all the housework. When we asked her, how would you describe yourself? You know, what do you think a normal 13-year would say? You know, she said, I'm neat and I love to take care of my home. 13-year-old girl. Moses supported her with blankets, a uniform, school lunch, and emergency food. And then when we asked Joyce, what would you like us to pray for? Her response was, pray for me, pray for my education, and for me to be a success in life. I don't know how many 13-year-olds I know that would say that if I asked what they'd like me to pray for. So now that you know a couple of the people who will be receiving your money, I do want to assure you that your money makes a huge impact, and I think that you've heard that already today. Having gone there and seen the work that Leonard and his team does, it's amazing what they do with the money that they have and how great stewards they are of it. So what I'm asking you, do any of you have change in your pocket? Even just 14 cents. Did you know that 14 cents will pay for Joyce's lunch tomorrow? Or if you had $14 in your wallet, that amount would provide lunch for 100 of Joyce's classmates tomorrow. That is the kind of stewards that they are with your money. I watched a video a couple years ago of a pastor that centered around charitable giving, and he mentioned the difference between wants and needs. And that made me really examine the way that I live my life and the way I view charitable giving. So I'm going to frame some other ways to look at the impact your money can have on Umoja using the framework of wants versus needs. So you may want to order a large Papa John's pizza next weekend during the Colts play, but if you choose to buy a frozen Totino's pizza instead, the $14 you save would provide those 100 children that we just talked about with the lunch that they need, that they'll have a meal that day. It may be the only meal they have. You may want to stop at Starbucks every morning this week on your way to work. But if you brew your own coffee at home, the $25 you save would pay for lunch for a child for an entire year that they need to help them stay focused at school. You may want to take a spouse and several friends to dinner, a nice dinner for their next birthday. But if you stay at home and cook that dinner yourself, the $75 you would save would pay for maize for one school for an entire term. And that's what that school needs to nourish their students. You may want to rent a full-size SUV from Avis for your next family vacation. But if you rent a full-size car instead, the $475 you save will provide the delivery of grain for an entire school term. This grain is ultimately used to feed the Umoja children with meals they need to keep them in school. And then finally, you may want to stay at the Polynesian resort when you visit Walt Disney World. But if you stay at the Caribbean Beach Resort instead, the $2,500 that you save will feed 100 students for an entire school year that they need to ensure positive cognitive development. So we know that the money you're giving to the people, you're giving the money is going to people that need it. And you know now that you know Jackson and Joyce, and I hope I made it clear that your donation, no matter how large or small, does have a huge impact, which is further enhanced because Umoja is just such a great steward of your contributions. So now the final reason I want to address is why people give is they appreciate a thank you. So I want to thank you now from the bottom of my heart for any amount that you find yourself being called to give. Thank you from me. Thank you from Umoja. And most importantly, thank you from Jackson, Joyce, and all the students and their families and their teachers who understand your contribution is helping break the cycle of poverty in Kenya. So thank you. And ways. Could you put that slide back up again, ways to give, just so they all know? Again, you can text GIVE to 317-449-7224. The QR code at your table. You can use the jars, and if you're at home, you can also do it right there at the event page. I think the auction is over, I think, now. So with that, I'm going to ask Tamara to come up, Tamara Carpenter. And what I would like to say, first of all, is just thank you to all of you for being here and taking the time out of what I know are busy schedules to have the opportunity to hear about Umoja. Hopefully you learned a lot tonight, and hopefully that you feel the Spirit guiding you to give. But I can assure you that the money's going to a great cause. I also want to thank, and I don't know if they left, but the meal for the cooks and the servers and the people that clean up our tables. We give them a round of applause. And all the people that work so hard to make this work, the audiovisual people, thank you guys back there for helping us here. The auction people, who are really fabulous, all the work they did. And I'm going to give a chance. I'll let you thank the speakers, but I'm going to give it to Tamara. So she's much prettier than I am, so we'll let her do it. So.
Yes, so we want to thank the speakers. We want to thank, again, Leonard Otiendo. I'm so happy to see you in person. I got a chance to speak with Leonard when I was interviewing for the position, and I was impressed right away with his bright intelligence and just his grasp of what it was needed there in the community and his commitment. And then Dr. Lemons, thank you so much for that wonderful talk and all of the stories that you share with us and just helping us to connect. I love working for Umoja. This is a dream come true for me, and I can't wait to go visit the children in January. We'll be able to just see the work that you guys that we're doing and what your funds, your money is doing to support them. So thank you again so much for coming out this evening. We love seeing your faces. Those of you who are still online with us, thank you so much for joining us. And we just hope that you are blessed and that you have a wonderful evening. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Can any of the auction people tell me how we are handling those that won their bidding wars? And while Celia's coming up to tell us that, were you coming up, Celia? All right, say it right there. Okay, and the rest of you, thank you so much. Remember this, if you enjoyed your evening, tell all your friends, bring them next year. Thank you so much for your wonderful generosity, and have a wonderful evening. Thank you.